having a connection to God feels really hard to have. We control so much in our lives. When we seek that relationship with God, we can't connect. Have you ever tried to call someone and text them with no response? How long before you are no longer concerned about their non-response? It might depend on who it is and what you call them about, but I think it would be safe to assume that if it wasn't that important or the person was not that good of a friend, you may end your attempts to connect to them. But if it was someone you loved, well, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it? But getting back to this connection, is it that we don't love God enough to keep trying? Or maybe we don't know Him well enough to recognize that He hears us loud and clear. I'm not saying that God is never silent, but sometimes we are separated a little bit. There may be questions that come up when this happens. Like, why am I alone? Why did God not answer? Or, where is He when I'm alone? These are questions that many of us, Christians, and even non-Christians may ask ourselves, or even question His validity in these very same questions. Now, a Bible verse we all know very well is John 3:16. And many of us will scoff when we think of the loneliness we have felt in the past or even today. How can God, Alpha and Omega, let me feel disconnected? How can He bring happiness to others and tell us He loves us if I feel unloved and alone? In my life, I felt jealous of those who had a relationship with others and with God. Nothing could bring me to Him in a way that felt whole and fully secure. I put in the effort, I put in the time, I put in my heart, yet I felt ever alone. Yet there is still a part of me that wants that connection. Some days I feel that I am lazy with my commitment. Some days I know it's my fault that I lack the connection. But what seems to me to be a never-ending cycle, I see light in my struggle. In 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 3 through 9 in the New King James Version, it says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to His abundant mercy has begotten us again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled and that does not fade away, reserved in heaven for you, who are kept by the power of God through faith for salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelations of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen you love. Though now you do not see Him, yet believing you rejoice with joy, inexpressible and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls." Now, I pull two things from this passage. The incorruptible world and life we seek will only be truly safe in heaven. It says we inherit it. This is given to us through faith for salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. Recognize these first verses are similar to John 3:16, but we must read on to the second part. This part speaks for itself. just because you feel alone, or maybe you are alone, the fact that you still seek to have a connection is the assurance that you still have a connection with Him. However, there is a difference in how these people respond when they do not see Him and how we respond normally. We do not have joy. We do not feel, quote unquote, joy inexpressibly and full of glory. What makes us different from those who we may have seen having joy in trials, and us who may see every slight personal injustice or a personal loss or time alone? We see these as a God who didn't care enough to be there for us. The difference is, we're not there yet. And the fact you are wondering, what do I do next, is the right situation for you to fall into His arms. Abraham waited his whole life through trial and error only to fall into His arms. Moses spent 40 years, and you can argue this was doubled by his time in the wilderness with Israel, and he fell into the arms of God. And throughout his life, David made mistake after mistake till he fell into God's arms and tried to warn his son of the perils of not having a connected relationship with God. Peter and John, and even Paul, all suffered a time of separation. Yet after some time they realized that God was there the whole time. Yes, we get lost, we get lonely, and maybe we don't see God. Still, we must count it joy that we can draw closer to Him to reinforce and build on the quote, genuineness of your faith, so we may become connected. This world is an evil place. Never take that lightly. This is a world of corruption, waste, and selfishness. But our heavenly home awaits those who make their personal choice to fall into His arms.